recording. Perfect. So welcome everyone. Thanks so much for taking the time to attend the webinar. So it's going to be run today on behalf of the IUCN's National Committee UK's Education and Communications Working Group, which from the title page here, there we go. Obviously it rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it? My name's Sophie Stenson. I'm the chair of the Education and Communications Working Group. I've just taken over from Caitlin Brandt, who did a fantastic job setting everything up, and she's now gone to work. She's got a new job, so I've just recently taken over. So we're going to be introducing the group today, and we'll be talking about the purpose of the group and what we can do for our members and potential members, and how you can kind of get in contact with us as well, and introducing our social media channels and website and how we're going to be communicating with our members in future. Some quick housekeeping first. So the webinar is being recorded and posted on our website and YouTube channel. So if that's okay with everyone, as I mentioned before, if there's anything that you'd like us to edit out or remove your input, that's totally fine. You can get in contact with us after the recording so that we can do that. And we'd also like to ask everyone if they could keep their mics muted in the interest of sound clarity for the recording. But you are, of course, welcome to ask any questions, or if you'd like to post any questions in the chat window, you can do that. We'd also like to encourage you to share any of your LinkedIn profiles or any other kind of professional platforms that you'd like to share with anyone else in the meeting, or any other members, because that's the idea. We want to get everyone in contact with each other. Without further ado, I'm going to pass you over to Chris Mahon, who's the Chief Exec of the National Committee for the UK, and he'll tell you a little bit more about the purpose of the working group.
Thanks, Sophie, very much, and thank you for agreeing to take on the role of chairing this group. I think that's you're going to be doing a great job, I'm sure. Do you have the slide with the flow diagram on it? Can we start with that one? Just to give you all a bit of a context of how we're working here. As you know, the IUCN is a very complicated organization. If you're involved in it at whatever level, you'll understand. But I'm coming from the context of a national committee here, and as many of you will know, IUCN members are allowed by the statutes of IUCN to form national committees with the specific purpose of progressing the World Conservation Union global program and the activities contained in that for nature conservation. And what we're trying to do in the National Committee for the UK is to mirror the components of IUCN. So in particular, the works of the commissions. Now, we have over 50 organisation members here in the UK that are members of IUCN, large organisations, small organisations, zoos, all sorts of various nature conservation organisations and actors, including UK government. So that's a significant uniqueness of IUCN. We also have 1,000 members of the IUCN commissions, which previously we haven't really been able to engage with. And so in this diagram, I hope you can see that we are in the blue bits, in the centre, the chair and the executive committee are there to be the focal points for IUCN members and the wider IUCN community, but we want to draw down and engage with the skills and expertise in the commissions. So with those 1,000 commission members across the now 7 commissions, across the top there, I'll just read them out. The World Commission on Protected Areas, the Commission on Education and Communication, which is the one we're dealing with here, the Commission on Ecosystem Management, Commission on Economic, Environmental and Social Policy, the Commission on Environmental Law, the Species Survival Commission, and finally the new and about to be formed Climate Change Commission, or the Climate Crisis Commission is its correct title. So we aim to create working groups, expert working groups like this one, to bring the tools and guidance that the commissions produce at a global level and apply them in the context of the United Kingdom and the overseas territories. So quite a lot of work potentially in there, and we'll have to work within our capacities. But that's the purpose of these working groups, to really make sense of global tools and guidance, reinterpret them in a UK context, and engage with members both in organisations and as individuals in the commissions. So if we nip that back to the previous slide, I'll see if I've missed anything out. So yeah, let's just run through that list. Purposes of the ECWG, it rolls off the tongue a little bit easier than Education and Communication Working Group. So our purposes are to connect CEC members in the UK, not just with the National Committee, but between each other. You can't really have a network if it's linear. It needs to be connected with a variety of nodes. So we're looking at supporting the work of the Commission on Education and Communication in particular, and the initiatives that they bring forward. We want to focus on new initiatives for education and communication, and Sophie will mention a few of the things we have planned shortly. We'd also like to use this group to develop a communication strategy for the National Committee. We've never had one. We probably desperately need one, and we're already starting to see some benefits from this group in reflections on the website, even a QR code, which is a major advance, and all sorts of activities on social media that we need to get engaged with. From the diagram I showed you earlier, there's a lot of work going on in the other working groups, and we'd like to complement that and somehow engage with the work of those groups where an education and communication benefit can be gained. So there are several themes coming out of the CEC at the moment. Nature for All, you're probably familiar with. Nature Education for Sustainability, one of the themes of our first webinar. We'd like to particularly focus on youth engagement and intergenerational partnerships. There's a new global strategy for youth engagement from IUCN, and again, that's something that we'd like to interpret at a UK scale. And then the concept of reimagining conservation, working with the Commission on Environmental, Economic and Social Policy. So our catchy little aim there that we're going to work on abbreviating and making a bit more user-friendly is to educate and communicate sustainable solutions to prevent biodiversity loss and contribute to meeting targets in the IUCN global and regional work programs. And I guess it's a good time to mention that we do have links with our colleagues in West Europe and perhaps we'll pick up on that a little bit later. So those broadly are the aims and objectives, purposes, if you like, of the ECWG. It's an open door opportunity for any CEC members to engage with us and join the group and the activities, and we look forward to hearing your ideas. Back to you, Sophie. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. So we're now going to go around and introduce each member of the working group. I don't suppose, Chris, if you want to sort of start with your background, and then we can...
Sure. Yeah, thank you. So my name is Chris Mahon. I'm the Chief Executive of the IUCN National Committee for the UK. I've been engaged in IUCN work since 2007. And I've been a member of CEC for that length of time. I guess one of the stimulants for me in this group is that as a member of CEC, I don't really seem to be asked to do very much. And I'd like to change that, and perhaps, you know, that's one of the stimuli of being engaged in this group. I'm also a member of the World Commission on Protected Areas. Particular interest in some of these current themes of connectivity, ecological connectivity, nature networks, all of these new nature recovery ideas that are coming out of the Convention on Biological Diversity and other sources. So generally, I've been a advocate for nature conservation for my whole career. I've worked in local authorities and managed a wildlife trust for over a decade. And I'm very happily settled into working with the National Committee, both at a local, national, regional and international level. Recently back from Korea and the Leaders for Nature Forum. That should do for me. Thank you.
That's great. Thanks, Chris. So I'll go next. My name's Sophie Stenson. I'm currently working for the University of Exeter as a research assistant for the Environment and Sustainability Institute. So that means I generally assist on projects that focus on nature conservation and social issues. And I also have a particular interest in the sustainability of volunteer-based conservation in the UK. So my background was originally in biological sciences and zoology, as I used to work in very hands-on conservation work, both in the UK and in Central America for a while, working in wildlife rescue and rehabilitation. And that's where I gained some experience and an interest in managing volunteer groups. And through that, an interest in moving more towards kind of social sciences work and policy as well. So after having completed a master's at the University of Exeter in conservation science and policy, I'm now working with the university on those kinds of projects and looking forward to starting a PhD in January about learning from best practice in sustainable governance. So I just wanted to say, if anyone is working in that area or interested in collaborating on any of these sorts of projects, please feel free to reach out on LinkedIn by searching for Sophie Stenson, or via email or through the website. And Chris and my emails are also at the end of this presentation. So we're happy to be in contact about any of these topics. So it's great to meet you all. I'll pass over to Chris Rostron.
Thanks, Sophie. Thanks, Chris. I'm Chris Rostron. I work for the Wildfowl and Wetlands Trust. I'm based at our headquarters down in Slimbridge. My background is kind of varied. I guess I started doing quite a lot of outreach and engagement work in an inner London borough, working with local communities and education projects. I work for groundwork trusts. I then work for the wildlife trusts, working on a partnership network with the water companies and the Environment Agency. And I've been at WWT for about 14 years now. So my work here is in the international engagement team, and I work a lot with the Ramsar Convention, so kind of focus more on wetland stuff, obviously, but seeing kind of real parallels here between the CEC and Ramsar's CEPA program, which is Communication, Education, Participation and Awareness, lots of acronyms going on, and how we can kind of work together to deliver what a lot of these kind of international agreements are aiming to do around getting people more aware of environmental issues and getting them to take action based on those activities. So my key interest really is about how we can join forces, I guess, to do something which is useful to the members of both networks and really get something engaging and inclusive as well for people, so that we're doing something useful together. So I'm delighted, yeah, to be working with you guys. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Chris. Maybe if we hand over to Simon next.
Hi guys, so I'm Simon Garrett. I've worked for Bristol Zoological Society for 32 years now. Did a summer job way back in 1989 and became an education officer shortly afterwards, and then built up a large team up until a few years ago. I think we hit in the summer about 50 staff within the public engagement team, and that was working across 2 sites as well. So we've got Bristol Zoo and Wild Place Project just in the outskirts of Bristol. Some of you may know that Bristol Zoo closed to the public after 186 years in early September, and as a result of that, I'm actually taking redundancy at the end of this year. So I'm going to be out in the big wide world making more connections, because one thing that I've really changed the way I think when working for this organisation. So I became an education officer and then built up a big team because I was fascinated in wildlife and the natural world, and I hear lots of people saying that they want to get other people as excited in the natural world as they are. During the time I've been here, I've been one of the driving forces setting up some higher education work here. So we currently deliver 6 degree courses, and I deliver on a master's course with a module called Communication for Conservation. And I labour with my students right at the beginning, this is communication for conservation, not about conservation. And it's basically a psychology module all about social action. So I basically changed my interest. I'm still very interested in wildlife and conservation, of course, but I'm mostly interested in people now and what drives them to do what they do. So that's what I'd like to bring to this group and this network. And also when I leave this organisation at the end of this year, that's what I'm looking to do after. I haven't got anything nailed yet, but finding any which way I can to basically address the crises that we have on this planet at the moment by really understanding people and bringing together the right mechanisms to get people to do the right things without necessarily turning them into conservationists, but just get people living in a way which is helpful to the planet rather than destructive, but without changing their normal everyday lives too much. So that's kind of me, and that's where I'm at.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Simon. Over to Juliet next.
Hi everyone, I'm Juliet, and I have recently joined the working group to help with social media. Right now I'm working at the University of Exeter on their new research networks that help to create interdisciplinary research, but like Sophie, I have just done a master's at Exeter, conservation science and policy. So my real interest is conservation and zoology, and I'm especially interested in communication because I feel like that is the biggest hurdle right now that is stopping real progress being made, the lack of understanding and the lack of effective communication. So I am really excited to be a member of the working group and to be helping, and I'm looking forward to the future of the working group.
That's great. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, Diana wasn't able to join us today because she's unwell, but Chris might share a couple words about what sort of thing Diana does as well.
Yeah, I'm really pleased that Diana's agreed to join this group. Diana's the IUCN CEC Regional Vice Chair for West Europe, and she operates out of Vilnius in Lithuania. And I found her a particularly dynamic individual so far, a real asset to this group, but an asset to CEC. She has I'm just going to poach stuff off her LinkedIn page at the moment, but it says that she has a natural talent in creative writing and storytelling, along with research and project management skills for educating and communicating on sustainability. 7 years of experience in project management and lots of grant applications involved in that. She says her superpower is to make successful projects and events, and that's going to be key to the success of this group. So I'm really thrilled that Diana's going to be with us. Unfortunately, she's suffering from a cold today, so she can't be with us today, but you'll see much more of her, of course, at this UK level, but also through the webinars that she's organising for West Europe, and I encourage you all to join in those too. Thanks.
Absolutely. So thank you all for sharing your backgrounds and expertise, and hopefully through those short introductions our members can know a little bit more about what everyone's about and reach out to various different members or to us through the website about future projects. So we also wanted to take, these are also any of our social media channels and the website in question. The Instagram has also just recently been set up with IUCN NCUK as well, and we'll be posting this recording on the YouTube channel, which will share all of these via website to our members, and anyone else, if you would like to contact us to request them, we can send those out as well. So we wanted to take this time today as well to outline some of the benefits of the memberships. So whether you're already members or prospective members, we just wanted to let you know a little bit about how you can contact us, what you can get out of the memberships, which are completely free, and yeah, let you know what we're about really. So firstly, access to the CEC membership network. So we really want you to use this free membership to contact us as a working group, so that we can be your central kind of communication point to share your organization's upcoming events, to reach out for collaborative opportunities, and also to drive future webinar focuses by suggesting topics. So obviously we want them to be of interest to you, our members, or to any other audience members. And so if there's any subjects that you are passionate about, or that your organisation would like us to highlight in future, please do get in touch via email, social media, or any of our website contacts again. And you can put those forwards and we'd be happy to kind of assist on those in any way that we can. We'd also like to start featuring member organisations or individuals on our social media channels. So if this is something that you would be interested in, to raise awareness about the amazing work that you do, and you can also use this to gain support for any upcoming projects. Please do reach out, let us know that you'd be happy for that for you to be featured or your organisation to be featured, and let us know what you want us to share with our members. And finally, we would like to provide our members with early access to CEC and other NCUK webinars and events. These will again be run free. So we've got the webinar series at the moment that's happening, and there's many other events that are organised by the other working groups and the NCUK, well, the National Committee. I believe this week, maybe Chris, you can highlight what's happening this week about open access communications. I think there's a few different events that are happening this week specifically, which I've just found out about last weekend.
You may know more about them than I do then.
So I think there's some events that are happening that we'll be able to share on our social media channels that are being run more by the Western Europe group. So I don't have very much information about them, but we can definitely share that out on the emails as well. So yeah, so in order to reach out to you about your activities and about other members' activities, we're going to be sending monthly emails to collect member updates. So you can share with us as much or as little as you'd like. It's totally up to you how much you want to share about your events, but hopefully, you know, as much content as we can share, we're happy to kind of collect. So speaking of future plans, we have the series of webinars that I mentioned. that are in the works. So our next webinar is going to be focused on the theme of nature education for sustainability. There's a different QR code there, which will take you straight to the Eventbrite link to sign up for the free tickets if you would like to attend. So it's on the Monday, 21st of November from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. I always get that confused. It's only 1 hour, not 13 hours. So it's going to be focused on, yes, nature education for sustainability. And we are thrilled to announce that we'll be hosting Mary Colwell from Curlew Media. And she's been recognised as one of the most influential conservationists in the UK. And she's going to be talking to us about her role in campaigning for the new GCSE in natural history. We'll also be hosting Erin Threlfall, who is an education leader, consultant, and a freelance writer, who works internationally to encourage schools to incorporate the Sustainable Development Goals into their curricula. So these talks are going to be followed by Q&A and a chance for discussion with our speakers. And hopefully there'll be some really interesting topics coming up there. So we hope to see you there. And please feel free to share these links with any colleagues or friends who you think might be interested. So obviously the more the merrier, and we'd love to have as many different perspectives as possible. Anyone interested in kind of developing, different education policy, or who's involved in those kind of fields, would be fantastic to include in the discussions. So the following webinars after that are still in the works, but will probably be planned for January, skipping December due to, holidays, Christmas and such. So some ideas on future topics are youth engagement and intergenerational partnerships. As Chris mentioned before, that's another one of the themes that is the focus theme for IUCN this year. And another one that has been suggested is human well-being in nature conservation. So if these topics are of particular interest to you and you'd like to participate either as a speaker or suggest any focus questions within those themes, please do reach out to us, as we are still shaping the content for these talks, and we would really love to hear what would be of most interest for our members. If there's also any other topics that you'd be interested in for future webinars, I'd like to invite our live audience to share in the chat now any topics which you'd like for us to focus on, or alternatively, if you're watching this as a recording, please do get in contact or comment below any topics that you would like us to focus on in future. So please feel free. I haven't got the chat open just now, but we can have a look if there are any questions or topics that have been suggested. This is all I've wanted to schedule plenty of margin for discussion or questions afterwards. So we've got plenty of time for that now. If anyone would like to ask any questions or introduce themselves as members or audience members. We'll have a quick look in the chat.
I think we're a small enough group, Sophie, to be able to encourage those attending who haven't spoken yet to introduce themselves. I'd particularly like to get to know them. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. If anyone wants to go first.
Go on, I'll come off hiding. Hi there, my name's Alex. I'm the education manager at Welsh Mountain Zoo. How do you become a member? I was wondering if there's a link or somewhere to go to where we can apply to be a member.
Yeah, absolutely. So we can send that out via email as well. But basically, if you search for IUCN CEC membership, it should come up there. And as we mentioned, it's totally free. It doesn't take too long to apply. There's a couple of questions there about how you're involved in kind of relevant topics and what sort of work you do. And then, yeah. But we can send out those links for you. I'll try and send it in the chat now.
Oh, thank you. I'll get on that one.
So on the screen now as well is Chris's email contact there, and mine as well. And there's the QR code for the IUCN NC UK website as well.
I'll jump in if you like. Sorry, I had my camera off before. I'm doing about 5 things at once, so apologies for that. But my name's Andy Moss. I work at Chester Zoo as the lead conservation scientist, but for social science, and I'm really interested in the sort of the power that education can have for conservation. I guess if I had a question, it would be how do you think the group might tie in with the post-2020 framework and the likely targets that sort of result from that? Or is that a bit of a sort of a terrible question to ask? I don't know, but that would be my question for this.
Chris, I don't know whether I can hand over to you for that one.
Yeah, sure.
I'll try and send
It's a lovely question. How long have you got? I think the whole meeting in Montreal coming up in December. I hear from colleagues that that most of the text is still in brackets, in square brackets, which means it's all up for debate, and it should be very interesting to see what comes out of the whole process. I have been to a COP before, a CBD COP before, it's quite an experience. So if anybody has the chance to go, then do go. We did a bit of work on this in the Leaders for Nature Forum in Korea last week. There was one of those wonderful Mentimeter polls of responses to a question about this very subject. What was it that what is the first word that you think of when you think about the outcomes of the COP? And in the middle, you know, when you get that mass of words, and the one that's most common comes out in the middle, and it just came up huge, the word hope. Everybody has hope. It's not the same as faith, but it's hope for a positive outcome, for an agreement for the new framework that makes sense, that we can all get on with. And there are constantly new initiatives. IUCN's latest focus is on nature positive, which sets a new direction for the direction of travel for nature conservation to 2030. I guess we're all aware of the urgency for action, and probably fewer words, more action, certainly less square brackets, and something that we can all rally around with our governments in order to progress things practically. So there's an urgency, there's a focus required, and yeah, there's hope. There's hope.
Yeah, I think that was really well said, Chris. Bravely answered. It's a big question.
Should we go to Colin next? Put you on the spot.
Okay, no worries.
Do you mind?
Yeah, I'm the head of education at Crocodiles of the World, a crocodile zoo in just outside of Oxford. Also a member of the IUCN Crocodile Specialist Group, and maybe 5-6 years I've been a member of the CEC. So yeah, I'm just tuned in today just to get a sense of what's going on really with the working group, and seeing what you guys are up to, and looking getting quite a few of the emails and everything about, you know, webinars and everything like that. So, you know, it's good to see a little bit more engagement, I suppose, in this, because for the first few years I felt a little bit lost as to how to be involved. So with the you know, the UK committee, I think it's been the last couple of years been a nice little jump forward, really with the engagement side of things. So I guess yeah, they tuned in today just to see what was going on, and to show your face, and hopefully get a bit more you know, engaged with some of these things moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to meet you, Colin. And like you mentioned, it's it's so important that we all sort of keep in contact, and that we really just want to provide all of the members with opportunities to kind of reach out about what they're doing and let everyone know. Reach out for collaborations and kind of fundraising events, anything like that. We're really keen to find out about what everyone's up to so that we can share it with the whole network, and then hopefully that will kind of streamline what everyone's doing, get you in contact with anyone else who's interested in similar sort of things, and all kind of work towards the same goals quicker.
Great bit of profile raising there, Colin. I must admit I wasn't aware there was a crocodile zoo near Oxford, but I am now.
That's why I thought I'd just mention that. So I expect to see you all here.
Great.
Try skip this week though. A bit too busy.
Terrific.
Do you want to kick in, Chris?
I think that's your cue, Doug, don't you?
Thank you. Yeah, I've been involved with IUCN CEC since the early 90s. So I was there when we set up the SEPA group for Ramsar, and one of the founders of that. And so I've been around for a long time. I don't earn any money anymore, which is another word for retired from doing anything managerial, which is fun. And I've been doing that for quite a few years now, since I left WWT. When I got onto the board of Natural England, I've been a Heritage Lottery Fund trustee, worked with all sorts. I've worked with lots of people on this call already. I did know it was a crocodile zoo, but I've never been. I used to chair the Earth Trust, and so I've since leaving paid employment, I've been nabbed to do an awful lot of chairing of stuff. So at the moment, I'm on the council of the National Trust, still very heavily involved with their education learning program, communication stuff. I chair the Gloucestershire Local Nature Partnership, and also that links me into the National LNP network, which is growing and doing amazing stuff. So here in Gloucestershire, we've only got one zoo that actually works with us. And hi, Chris. So that's it. So very much linked with WWT still, where I was for several decades, it feels like. And the other thing I do is a trustee for a small organisation which is well above its weight called SEED, Sustainability Environmental Education. And in that there's a sort of blue blurry thing by me.
Thank you.
And this is Anne Finlayson, who is the Chief Executive of SEED. And she's not a member of IUCN CEC yet, but she should have been years ago, having been head of social change at WWF. And what else do you do?
Sorry. I must admit I got confused between the difference between joining as an organisation and just joining this as free. So now that I've understood that we could actually join the CEC.
No, you could join.
I can join the CEC, then I will be doing that. And I maybe just to be helpful, I was the Education Commissioner on the Sustainable Development Commission for 6-7 years. Running SEED now for 15 years. I'm also hoping to partially retire, but it's become a very interesting time. So I chair a coalition called Our Shared World, which is currently about 350 organisations and individuals who are interested in SDG 4.7, which is a variety of those adjunct-titled educations that are supposed to move sustainability forward. Been working with UNESCO for since 2014 on various things, and have now become an advisor. I'm a bit lost on how many groups I'm on with the Department of Education on their sustainability and climate change strategy. But I'm in a very small group that's about how they're implementing it. And one of the things I know that they're going to be doing, which links directly to you guys, is this nature education national park. I think I've got those words in the wrong order, but let's not worry. Which I think that, no, which I think they're going to announce maybe next week or the week after. the people who won the contract to do that. And the idea there is that all schools and colleges and university estates add up to, by area, two city sizes of Birmingham. So by area, it's Birmingham twice that's in. And what they're hoping to do is really improve the biodiversity of the school grounds, university grounds and college grounds through this programme. It's one that the department is very keen on, and politicians are very keen on, and also internationally they're very keen on. The Italians are very interested in. So I think you might be hearing a lot more about that, but I'm really hopeful to join and then help people understand where things like this sort of policy work is going.
So we're curious, basically. That's why we're here, and we can't walk by another network.
Yeah, we can.
Yes, we can. Well, fair enough, Chris.
Well, thanks, Anne, and great to have a couple of conservation heavyweights amongst us. I can recommend the Seed newsletter, which I get regularly, and if we can help with circulating that, and that's a network within a network, and it's all helping with communication, I guess, too. Great stuff. Should I suggest we go to Elliot next?
Sure. Yeah, so I've been floating around IUCN Oceania for a few years, CESP. I moved to the UK, to Bristol, a few months ago. Just got out of building the UN's latest big interdisciplinary youth water climate network. So 5,000 partner organisations, big old do. Just finished running my own charity, Human Nature Projects, supporting community-led conservation projects across 100-odd countries, moving more into science communication now. So as podcaster, author, journalist, wildlife rescuer, occasional presenter, doing bits and pieces. Just picked up the UE BBC Masters in Wildlife Filmmaking course. So back to school, as it were, in Bristol. But yeah, very much moving into the wildlife filmmaking industry. And I will be headed to Montreal in December. So crisscrossing the world still a bit in post-COVID times, and the UK, of course. Head up to Norfolk a few weeks, covering various small filmic projects in the meantime. But that's me.
Brilliant, thanks. And another suite of talent there. Can we make sure that we somehow capture everybody's at least contact details in the chat, so that we can follow up on these really interesting contributions? Thanks, Elliot, much obliged. And Peter's on a train. Are you able to speak?
I was just going to say, hopefully Peter as well.
Yeah, I am. Thank you, Chris. Yeah, so for my part, I'm actually I'm in Paris on the way to Berlin right now, but I am based down in Devon in the UK. I've been a member of CEM and now CEC and CESP for the last couple of years. But I work on arts as a fulcrum in landscape scale regeneration projects. So at the moment, I'm just doing a master's degree down at Dartington Arts and Schumacher College. But really sort of my background is in public food forests and arts anthropology, and trying to translate between some of these spaces and getting creatives engaged in on-ground conservation and climate adaptation work. So I sit across a couple of things, but it's great fun to be in the group and just have a listen to what everybody is working on, and hopefully building some infrastructures of imagination alongside it.
That's fantastic. That reminds me of a project. I don't know if you're involved with the Renew project that I attended a biodiversity parliament just last week, that is trying to sort of interdisciplinarily involve artists and poets and anyone working in sustainability and environmental management work. And there was a really interesting sort of large-scale sculptural work to try and get the general public to appreciate the forest space that it was set in. So that sounds really interesting.
No, that's great, Sophie. I have not heard of that project. So if you have my email, actually, I would love if you could send me a link to that. So I spend a bit of time geeking out with Sean about this stuff and figuring out how we can always loop it in. So that would be really appreciated.
Yeah, no problem. Does that cover everyone in the meeting, Chris? I think that's everyone introduced. Don't know where Chris has gone.
Oh, I'm still here. Yes, that's covered everybody by intro. We're still open doors for questions or comments, I think, and I think it's been really useful so far, just catching up with everybody and getting familiar.
Yeah, I'd like to say from my part as well, I'm humbled by the experience and skills just from this small get together of members. So I'm really excited to be getting involved, obviously as a relatively new member, but also as the working group. I'm really excited to be in contact with everyone who has so much experience in so many different projects. So I think it's great to be involved.
I think there was someone from events WWT, but they've gone now. Chris,
oh yeah, so that was my colleague Connor Walsh, who works with me on the Wetland Link International project, which is our kind of international network of wetland centres. So yeah, I think he just had something else he needs to go and do, but yeah.
Well, in that case, I suppose we can stick around. We don't want to keep anyone too late past 4 o'clock, but we can stick around for any questions if people want to. Or of course, take your time sharing any contact details, LinkedIn links, and we can post our social media page back up for you if you like. I'll just share those details in the chat now.
Maybe just a quick recap, Sophie and Chris, and my apologies if you guys have already covered this. But sort of what's your prime objective within this group, within the UK national core? Is this really just testing the waters, or is there a specific horizon that you're looking to in the near future?
Would you like me to answer that, Sophie?
Sorry, I was just about to share the social media link. So if you're happy to take that one, Chris.
Okay, sure. Yeah. So good job we've recorded this for you, Peter, because you can catch up on the first 20 minutes or so. But we did have a little session on our focus, our priorities, and where we're trying to fit in with CEC objectives and basically translating IUCN global tools and guidance to a UK context. But that doesn't mean to say that we can't do all sorts of other things as well. It all contributes to the whole thing. But Sophie, if you wanted to just whip up the slide before the flow diagram one, that might help. Peter, with our focus, the objectives one, I think it was. Yeah. So we're concentrating on a few things, particularly a communication strategy, what I'm particularly keen on, but generally reinforcing the work of the Commission amongst our members, and that includes the organisation members in the UK. And those 4 themes of the CEC: nature for all, nature education for sustainability, the youth engagement, particularly translating the IUCN global strategy for youth engagement into a UK context. And I think you mentioned you have connections with CESP, so reimagining conservation is also on there. And our first webinar, it picks up the theme of nature education for sustainability. So we're going to be romping away, but this is really an introductory meeting. It's very early days. We have a terms of reference, which I always say is a good reference document, but they're always working documents and open to change and adaptation. So we're keen to hear from CEC members about whatever they feel is an important way forward for the things that they want to do.
No, that's great, Chris. Thank you. So I'll loop back around to the recording as well. Cheers for that.
Yeah, it'd be a good refresher for all of us.
Yeah. How many people are in the CEC in the UK?
Sorry, Doug, didn't catch that.
How many people are there in the CEC within the UK?
In the UK, I think is it 68?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's about right at the moment.
Yeah.
But we're hopefully with the new sort of communication strategy and reaching out to more people online, we're hoping to grow that a little bit. And of course, if you know anyone as well that would be interested in becoming a member and getting in contact, then please do feel free to share any of the details out.
Okay.
Well, hopefully we'll have Alexandra soon.
And you'll have Anne, I'm sure. But,
And Anne as well, yes. So 2 more just out.
Literally just typing in my details now. I will be a member as of about 5 minutes.
Excellent. I think there's a little process to go through in validation, but I'm sure you'll fly through that with flying colours.
Anne's just going to make a cup of tea, so I'm sure she'll do it after.
Fantastic. I'll just share those contact details in case anyone wants those again.
Yeah, do sign up to follow us on Facebook and so on. It's a useful tool, and we're keen to monitor growth in that area. We're coming from quite a low threshold to start with, but it'll be good to have you on board.
Absolutely, and it'll be through those channels that we'll be sharing any future webinars. There's also different events coming up. There's is it the Nature for All theme that's coming up with the Love Stories for Nature in February that Diana's involved in?
Possibly.
I think on Valentine's Day. So we'll be sharing any details about those kind of events, projects happening. It will all be on our social medias. So that's how the best way to sort of keep up to date with what's going on.
And hopefully it won't all be virtual. There should be opportunities for us to meet in person. Certainly the Regional Conservation Forum, which happens every 4 years, as does the World Conservation Congress. We could organise events at those things too, if people were interested to. And indeed, no reason why we can't have a face-to-face meeting anymore here in the UK, and perhaps go and see some crocodiles.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
So all to do.
Yeah, well, I think that brings us to 4 o'clock. So if there aren't any further questions, well, if there are any further questions, please feel free to contact us as mentioned, and hopefully we'll see you at the next webinar on the 21st of November. And yeah, hopefully keep up to date with what we're doing, and we'd love to keep up to date with what all of you are doing, and we will see you soon.
Thanks everyone, nice to see you.
Thanks everyone.
Cheers, folks.
Thank you all.
Bye guys, see you next time.
Bye.
Thank you. Great start. Thank you very much. Thanks for chairing, Sophie.
No worries.
Thanks.